Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into a collection of online sources, all centered on Whitpain Township in Pennsylvania.
That's right. We've got quite a mix Reddit posts from a user, Cold External 6101, our Whitpain Township subreddit itself, content from a website called crookedwhitpain.com.
And some legal documents too, right? Like Testa versus Whitpain Township and a Justia dockets entry for Nero v. Whitpain Township et al.
Exactly. Plus, a Reddit discussion specifically about the Whitpain police chief, Ken Lawson, and TikTok. So a real digital snapshot.
Okay, so what's our mission here? What are we trying to understand from all this material?
Well, the goal is really to get a handle on the different allegations and, the perspectives being shared online about the local government there, particularly the police department.
It sounds like it's quite critical based on the sources.
Very critical, yeah. What seems to emerge is this picture of alleged corruption, some unsolved crimes, and pretty serious accusations of racial bias. And it seems mostly driven by citizens, people who feel directly impacted.
All right, let's jump into the core of it. One of the most striking things is the name crookedwhitpain.com and the subreddit description for our Whitpain Township.
A crooked place to live and work.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty blunt.
It definitely sets a tone. So what specific examples are being used on that website, crookedwhitpain.com, to back up this crooked claim?
They list quite a few specific incidents. It's not just vague unhappiness. They point to actual cases they say show corruption or maybe neglect.
Okay, like what? Give us some examples.
Well, first, there's the death of a black veteran, Donté Perez Jones. The site calls it unsolved and significantly uninvestigated.
Uninvestigated. That's a heavy charge. What else?
Then there's an alleged home invasion. The victims were a black family, and the claim is the suspects, well, they weren't charged, weren't even questioned, supposedly.
And it keeps going.
Oh, yeah. The site also mentions a discrimination and retaliation lawsuit involving a mixed-race couple and documented abuse claims concerning a handicapped child and his father.
Wow. That's a lot.
It is. And there are even allegations about, litigation aimed at keeping black people out of the township. Plus, that discrimination lawsuit filed by Jamil Van, who we know was a former black police officer there.
So a pattern of alleged racial bias seems to be a recurring theme across these different examples.
Definitely seems that way, based on what's presented on the site.
And they're not shy about naming names, are they?
Not at all. CrookedWhitpain.com explicitly calls out specific individuals for accountability. They list names and even contact info.
Who are we talking about?
Police leadership, like Chief Ken Lawson, Detective Tom Wittig, Lieutenant Brian Sweisfirth, Sergeant Ivan Costi, also the township manager Eric Traub, Code Inspector Travis DeCaro.
So administration as well.
Right. And the township supervisors Scott Dadami, Kimberly Koch, Jeff Campolongo, Joyce Keller, Sarah Silverian, and even the deputy fire marshal, Matthew McGuire.
That's quite a list. It's very direct, putting contact information out there.
It is. It's a clear call for, transparency and answers.
Okay, let's focus in on one of these, the home robbery involving Scott Testa and his partner Hulda. The lawsuit document, Testa versus Whitpain Township, gives some details. What happened there?
Right. So this was back on September 19th, 2024. Their home was robbed, and they reported, I think, around $20,000 in jewelry stolen, plus about $9,000 in damages. A significant loss.
And their issue wasn't just the robbery itself, but the police response.
Exactly. The lawsuit makes it clear they were deeply frustrated with how the Whitpain police handled it. They specifically name Chief Lawson and Detective Wittig again.
And was there a racial element mentioned in their concerns?
Yes. They explicitly raised the concern that racial bias might be playing a role in why the investigation seemed stalled or why they felt it wasn't being taken seriously. Scott's partner, Hulda, is black, and they felt that was a factor.
It sounds like they tried to take matters into their own hands to some extent.
They did. The lawsuit mentions they actually put together their own packet of information, video footage, things like that, trying to spur the police investigation forward. They even reached out to the Montgomery County DA's office.
Because they felt the local police weren't doing enough.
That's the clear implication, yes. They felt they needed to escalate it.
Now, how does this connect back to that crookedwhitpain.com website? You mentioned another robbery.
Right. So the website brings up another alleged robbery around the same time frame. And it names two individuals, Brent Bowers and a Dr. Douglas George Cassera, M.D., as supposedly being identified as responsible.
Identified by whom?
The website implies they were identified, but crucially, it alleges they weren't questioned or charged. And this involved even more significant value, over $30,000 combined theft and damages.
Okay, so you have the Testa holder robbery where the victims feel ignored, possibly due to race, and then this other alleged robbery where the supposed perpetrators face no consequences, according to the site.
Precisely. And the website adds another layer, claiming the police report for that second alleged robbery was withheld even after open records requests were filed.
That comparison is stark.
It definitely paints a picture of potential disparity in how cases were handled, at least according to these sources.
And this perceived lack of action in the Testa case, that led them to file a federal lawsuit.
Correct. CrookedWhitpain.com points this out. Scott Testa and Hulda eventually filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against Whitpain Township because of their experience.
This connects to the Reddit activity too, doesn't it? With that user, Norda3.
Yes, Norda3 on the Whitpain Township subreddit has posted quite a bit about the Testa situation. They refer to the couple just as Testa.
And use that weird phrase, Lakers in 5 souk.
Yeah, that part's a bit unclear. Online slang, maybe? It could suggest confidence in their case, like they expect a relatively quick win in court. It's hard to say for sure.
But Norda3 also talks about Brent Bowers and Dr. Casera, right?
Yeah.
Offers a theory.
They do. Norda3 suggests Brent Bowers was apparently charged, but only with lesser summary offenses related to that other incident. Well, Bowers allegedly feels he was the only one charged because of some kind of high-level intervention.
Intervention involving?
Potentially involving Jeffrey Casera, who is apparently Dr. Casera's father. That's the theory floated by Norda3, suggesting possible influence.
And there's something about Detective Wittig commenting online.
This is another claim from Norda3. They allege that Detective Wittig made a comment somewhere on Reddit that seemed to confirm Dr. Douglas Casera was involved in that other robbery but wasn't charged.
If that's true, a detective confirming someone wasn't charged despite involvement.
Exactly. You can see how that would fuel accusations of preferential treatment. Or worse, as Norda3 implies, maybe even bribery.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. We also mentioned Jamil Van earlier, the former black police officer. What's the latest there, based on the sources?
Well, that Reddit user, coldexternal6101, posted something quite pointed. You can bury the complaint, but you can't bury Jamil Van Egg.
Which definitely sounds like there's an ongoing issue or fight.
It does. And remember, crookedwhitpain.com specifically lists a discrimination lawsuit, Jamil Van, former black Whitpain police officer. So the Reddit post seems to be keeping attention on that existing legal battle or grievance.
Got it. Then there's another lawsuit entirely, Nero versus Whitpain Township et al. What do we know about that one?
Okay, so this one we found documented on Justia dockets. It's a federal civil rights lawsuit filed November 8th, 2024 in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania court.
And who are the defendants in the Nero case?
It's Whitpain Township itself, Police Chief Kenneth Lawson again, and also 3 police officers, Anthony Garcid, Justin Gannon, and Francis Rippert III.
What's the basis of the suit? What kind of civil rights violation?
The docket lists it under civil rights. Other using the federal law, 42 U.S.C. Section 1983. That's the statute people use to sue state or local officials for violating constitutional rights.
And the plaintiff, Michael Nero, is taking it seriously.
Seems so. He's demanded a jury trial.
And this might be one of the lawsuits mentioned in that Reddit post about Chief Lawson and TikTok, the one referencing all his federal civil lawsuits.
Very likely, yes. It fits the description perfectly. Seems the chief is facing multiple federal challenges.
So all these different threads, the website, the lawsuits, the individual stories seem to be fueling a lot of online discussion, right? Especially on that subreddit.
Absolutely. That claim by coldexternal6101 about the Whitpain Township subreddit getting over 625,000 views in just 1 week. I mean, if that's accurate, it's huge for a local subreddit.
It suggests a lot of people are paying attention, or at least curious.
For sure. It points to significant community interest, maybe even concern. And users like coldexternal6101 and Norda3 are really driving the conversation, posting these allegations, sharing commentary.
Using the strong hashtags, too.
Yeah, the hashtags tell a story in themselves. Hashtag Crooked Whitpain, hashtag accountability now, hashtag civil rights, hashtag end police corruption, and then hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag systemic racism, hashtag corruption cover-up. It shows the range and intensity of the sentiments being expressed.
It's almost like digital activism focused on a specific town.
It really feels that way. And underscored by the fact that both the subreddit and crookedwhitpain.com put out a call for a freelance documentary filmmaker.
To do what?
They specified wanting someone for investigative storytelling, activism, and digital engagement about these exact issues. They're actively trying to get this story told more widely.
Meanwhile, you have users like Norda3 raising questions about the official response.
Right. Alleging misuse of taxpayer money to, fight these lawsuits and maybe try to manage the township's image.
And that theory about a shadow organization.
Yeah, that was interesting. Norda 3 floated this idea of some kind of hidden power structure within the township leadership, suggesting maybe lower-level people get set up as patsies was the term used, I think.
That's quite conspiratorial.
It is. And another observation from Norda 3 was about the crookedwhitpain.com website itself, pointing out the lack of visible people of color in the site's imagery.
That adds another dimension to the discussion about race, doesn't it?
It certainly raises questions about representation, even within the group raising these concerns.
Finally, let's touch on the state senator who got pulled into this Maria Collett. How did that happen?
Cold External 6101 posted a picture on Reddit showing Senator Collette with some of the Whitpain Township supervisors.
And the caption was critical.
It basically asked why she was associating with the Crooked Whitpain crew, as they put it.
And they didn't just leave it there, right?
No. The post directly called on people to contact Senator Collette, providing her emails, website contact, even her Reddit username, and ask her about alleged bribes and the treatment of black residents in Whitpain.
So an attempt to escalate the issue beyond the township level, directly to a state representative.
Exactly. Trying to bring higher-level political pressure or awareness to the situation.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, it's a really complex picture emerging from these online sources, isn't it?
It really is. You've got this web of allegations, corruption, specific crimes people say weren't handled right, serious claims of racial bias, all directed at Whitpain Township's government and police, and it's all playing out very publicly online.
And we have to stress, of course, that these are allegations and perspectives being shared online. They're not necessarily proven facts from a court of law yet in many cases.
Absolutely crucial point. We're looking at what's being claimed in these forums, lawsuits, and websites.
But the sheer volume, the level of detail, the persistence, it really makes you think about local governance, about policing, about civil rights in that community.
It does. And it leads to a bigger question, maybe for you, the listener, to think about.
Go on.
Well, seeing how detailed and sustained these online narratives are, what does this suggest about the power of, citizen journalism or just online platforms today? How much pressure can this kind of digital activity put on local officials for accountability?
That's a really interesting thought. And if you were living in or near Whitpain, what other questions would all this raise for you? What else would you want to know? Something to definitely mull over.